EVM does not predict the future. It removes the ability to lie about the present. That is the only reason it exists. Not to make reports look good, not to satisfy PMO templates, to make the real state of a project impossible to hide. If your CPI is 0.82, the project is over budget, not slightly challenged, not trending negative, over budget. The number says so. That precision is what the PMP exam tests, and it is what separates project managers who control outcomes from those who narrate problems. Full course link is in the description.
70% of projects miss cost or schedule targets. Not a minority, the majority. 13% of total budget is wasted, not on bad decisions, on bad data, on not knowing where the project actually stands. And 1 in 3 project managers cannot quantify how far off track they are. They have a feeling. They have a status report full of green. They do not have a number. EVM is the only tool that replaces opinion with a number. That is what this masterclass covers.
Every EVM metric, every formula, every index, every forecast derives from 3 values, just 3. Planned value, what should have been done by today. This is the budgeted cost of the work that was scheduled up to the status date. It answers one question: what did we plan to accomplish? Earned value, what was actually accomplished, not what was spent, not what was started, what was completed, measured in its budgeted cost. This is the most misunderstood value in EVM. Actual cost. What did the work actually cost? The real money spent to produce whatever was delivered. Memorize the question each one answers. PV, what should be done? EV, what was accomplished? AC, what did it cost? The moment those 3 questions are clear, every formula becomes logical.
From those 3 values, you get 4 performance signals, 2 variances, 2 indices. Cost variance, EV minus AC. You take the budgeted value of the work you completed and subtract what you actually paid for it. If you completed work worth $100,000 but spent $120,000 to do it, your CV is negative $20,000. You are over budget by $20,000. If the number is positive, you spent less than the work was worth. Under budget. Schedule variance, EV minus PV. You take what you actually accomplished and subtract what you planned to accomplish by this date. If your plan called for $100,000 of work to be done, but you only completed $80,000 worth, your SV is negative $20,000, behind schedule. Critical point for the exam. SV is expressed in currency, not time. It tells you the monetary value of the schedule gap, not how many days you lost. Now the indices. These are ratios, not differences. That makes them more powerful for forecasting. Cost performance index, EV divided by AC. A CPI of 0.85 means that for every dollar you spend, you produce 85 cents of value. You are burning money faster than you are delivering work. A CPI of 1.15 means every dollar produces $1.15 of output. Efficient. The CPI is the single most predictive metric in EVM. Studies show it stabilizes early in a project and rarely improves significantly once it drops. Schedule performance index, EV divided by PV. Same structure. An SPI of 0.90 means you are completing 90% of the planned work rate. An SPI above 1.0 means you are ahead. One rule that catches candidates in the exam: a CPI of 1.0 does not mean the project is healthy. It only means cost efficiency is on target. The SPI could be 0.75 simultaneously. Always read both indices together, never in isolation.
Once you have your performance data, the next question is, what will this project actually cost at completion? That is the EAC. 3 formulas, 1 decision. What assumption do you make about future performance? Formula 1, BAC divided by CPI. Current performance continues. If your CPI is 0.85 and nothing is changing, that ratio applies to everything remaining. Most common formula, most statistically reliable. Formula 2, AC plus BAC minus EV. The past variance was a one-time event. It has been corrected. Remaining work proceeds at the planned rate. You take what was spent, add the remaining scope at original cost. Formula 3, AC plus the remaining scope adjusted by both CPI and SPI. Both variances are persisting. Cost is over, schedule is late, and neither is improving. Most conservative forecast. The exam describes a scenario. The assumption is always stated explicitly. Match the formula to the assumption. At the bottom, VAC is BAC minus EAC. Negative means budget overrun. ETC is EAC minus AC, what you still need to spend to finish.
TCPI, To complete performance index, it answers one question: at what efficiency must the remaining work be executed to hit the target? The numerator is always BAC minus EV, the work still to be done measured in budget. The denominator changes depending on the target. If the target is the original budget, you divide by BAC minus AC. If the target is a revised estimate, you divide by EAC minus AC. Reading the result is straightforward. TCPI of 1.0 means you need to work exactly as planned. Below 1.0, the target has room. You can afford to be slightly less efficient than before. Above 1.0, you must outperform your current efficiency to hit the target. And above 1.2, the target is effectively unreachable. At that point, the correct action is not to try harder. It is to re-baseline. TCPI above 1.2 is a flag, not a challenge. It tells management the approved budget is no longer a valid reference point. This is the S-curve, 3 lines. Everything you need to know about a project status visible in one chart. The black line is PV, the plan. The green line is EV, what was actually delivered. The red line is AC, what was actually spent. Look at where the dashed vertical line cuts through. That is today. At that point, the red line is above the green. AC is higher than EV. You paid more than the work is worth. That is a cost overrun. The gap between them is your cost variance. The green line is below the black. EV is below PV. Less was delivered than planned. That is schedule slippage. The horizontal gap between them is your schedule variance. This project is over budget and behind schedule simultaneously. Both conditions are visible instantly without a single calculation. That is the value of the S-curve in a stakeholder conversation. The numbers are in the formulas, but the story is in the chart. 4 traps. These are not edge cases. They appear regularly in PMP scenario questions. 1. SV is money, not time. Schedule variance is calculated in currency. A negative SV tells you the monetary value of undelivered work, not how many days you are late. Candidates read negative schedule variance and think in weeks. The exam thinks in dollars. 2. EAC formula selection. The exam will describe a situation and expect you to pick the right formula. The trigger is always the stated assumption about future performance. Does the scenario say performance will continue as is? Use BAC divided by CPI. Does it say the problem was isolated and is now fixed? Use AC plus remaining scope at planned rate. Are both cost and schedule still off track? Use the combined formula. Read the assumption, match the formula. 3. BAC versus EAC. BAC is the original approved budget. It does not change unless a formal rebaseline is approved. EAC is your current forecast recalculated as data comes in. The moment any variance exists, they are different numbers. Treat them as distinct at all times. 4. CPI of 1.0 does not mean the project is healthy. It means cost efficiency is on target. The SPI could be 0.70 simultaneously. A project can be perfectly cost efficient and severely behind schedule at the same time. Always read CPI and SPI together. This slide is your reference sheet. 11 formulas, everything covered in this masterclass in one place. Pause here, take a screenshot, print it, put it next to you when you practice exam questions. You do not memorize these by reading them. You memorize them by applying them to scenarios repeatedly until the logic becomes automatic. The formula sheet accelerates that process. It removes the friction of looking things up so you can focus on understanding when and why each formula is used. In the full course, every one of these formulas has dedicated scenario questions built around it. That is EVM, not a collection of formulas, a system that makes the real state of a project impossible to hide. If you want to go deeper, scenario questions, worked examples, full PMBOK 8 and ECO 2026 coverage, the full course link is in the description. Discount available there. If this was useful, subscribe. There is more where this came from.